Chains rattle broken, now we rise. Flag in my hand, stars burn the skies. Truth ain't dead, though the liars try. They scream loud, but the words all die. Guys watching hands, raise to the throne. Freedom ain't free, blood built this home. Continue freedom, keep it alive. Red, white, blue, we bleed to survive. Continue freedom, keep it alive. Land of the free, ain't bending the knee. Truth in my veins, it's all I see. Patriots roar, no fear in the fight. Continue freedom, stand in the light.
And welcome back to Continue Freedom. Thank you all so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. As you come on board, and if you enjoy this content, please be sure to hit all the buttons that YouTube wants you to hit and that I hope you want to hit so that, we can keep this channel growing. We've been growing quite a bit here recently, and I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for all my wonderful followers who have been out here checking in with me on a regular basis. We've got a wild night, a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about Donald Trump and Iran. This has been a big topic, a huge topic. And look, is he going to get over his skis on all of these international conflicts that seem to be on the horizon? I was listening today to Piers Morgan. I haven't finished listening to the whole thing, but they had Dave Smith and Coleman Hughes and Michael Knowles and some other guy I've never heard of, secular something, I don't know what it was. And so they were doing their usual pugilistic conversations on Piers Morgan. And of course, Dave Smith and these people are saying, it's forever wars, we're getting into forever wars, but that hasn't been the case so far. The question is, is Donald Trump going to get over his skis juggling all of these things? We'll see. We're going to talk about it tonight. I'm going to give you my thoughts. We're also going to talk about the fact that he is striking fear in the heart of everybody around the world. We're going to talk about I don't know if it's a direct energy weapon, but some secret weapon that was allegedly used in Venezuela that is allegedly changing some of the conversation in South America. Could that be reaching out to Iran? Are they thinking about that as well? We're going to talk about the ICE raids, or the ICE protests, rather. And is it time for the Insurrection Act? That's the question that I have for you guys. Is it time for the Insurrection Act? And people are talking about wars and rumors of wars, but who's going to fight in those wars? Because this is a wild stat that I heard just this past week, and that is that 1/3 of Gen Z has already been deceased. Let's just put it that way, literally. And I'm going to tell you about the true epidemic that has hit America, and it's been one that is, I believe, one of the greatest blights on our society. But let's get into there we go. There's all the headlines that we're going to talk about today. Let's go ahead and get into this. So Trump, U.S. military is sending assets to the Middle East as Trump weighs the Iran strike. Sources say, this is from Fox News, and it says at least one U.S. aircraft carrier is being moved towards the Middle East as tensions with Iran continue to build. Military sources confirmed to Fox News it is not yet clear whether the carrier is the USS Abraham Lincoln, currently operating in the South China Sea, or one of the two aircraft carriers that departed Norfolk and San Diego earlier this week. Transit to the region is expected to take at least a week. So U.S. military assets from air, land, and sea are expected to flow into the region in the coming days and weeks to provide the president with military options should he decide to carry out strikes against Iran. So say the sources from Fox News. Now, this comes after, I played it yesterday on, I played the video on Braver Than the Rest when I was on that podcast. And in that video, they were showing the KC-130 tankers, the 130s or 135s, I forget. But the aerial refueling tankers, 6 of them had taken off from Qatar, and that's usually a precursor to some sort of a conflict. And here's Donald Trump's take. Well, before I say that, let me say that Trump called off the strike, apparently at the last minute. I'm going to read a little bit from the Post-Millennial and tell you about this, but let's listen to Donald Trump.
We have been notified and pretty strongly, but we'll find out what that all means. But we've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping, and it's stopped, and it's stopping. And there's no plan for executions or executions. So I've been told that on good authority. We'll find out about it. I'm sure if it happens, we'll all be very upset, including you will be very upset, but that's just gotten to me, some information that the killing has stopped, that the executions have stopped. They're not going to have an execution, which a lot of people were talking about for the last couple of days. Today was going to be the day of execution.
Do we buy that, by the way? When Iran says something, these people aren't known to be a truthful nation. Let's just put it that way. Their leadership obviously they're deceptive. They're horribly deceptive. They are the enemy of America. They are the ones that when I was, overseas, they were the ones fueling them, whether it was Jaish al-Mahdi or Al-Qaeda or whoever, fueling them with weapons and munitions to use against American soldiers. Iran is no friend of ours. Iran, though, could be saying, we're not going to do this. The people are still waiting for it. But Iran could be saying that just to buy them a little time. I don't know. But I will say unequivocally that I do not support them, and I don't believe them. I have zero reason to believe them. So if the executions continue, how is this going to play out? And this is what's going to take us into our topic for tonight, our big topic for tonight, which is the direct energy weapon that was used in Venezuela. Very, very interesting. But it says, so saith the post-millennial, according to their sources, that the people that convinced Donald Trump not to attack Iran were Qatar and Saudi Arabia. So this is from the post-millennial. It says, earlier on Thursday, reports came out that Trump had conveyed to Tehran that the United States would not carry out a strike against Iran as the regime has been killing protesters in the thousands. And I think I said it yesterday that the number has been around 12,000. That's the high number. Some people speculate and say that it was 50,000. I don't know that we don't have any confirmation that it was that high. But Iran has done this. I played this out in the numbers, and I didn't pull the numbers for tonight's show, but they have killed thousands of people in revolts and I wouldn't call them revolutions, but protests and things like that over the years. This is what you get from a dictatorship, from a theocratic dictatorship, a radical Muslim theocratic dictatorship. Yeah, you're going to get wanton death and destruction, and they're going to subjugate their people. That's how it works. And so the officials working behind the scenes, this is again from the post-millennial, were working behind the scenes to ease tensions between Washington and Tehran in an effort to avert an attack, according to the Jerusalem Post. Other reports had indicated that Egypt was also involved in the talks. Trump had reportedly told Tehran that the United States did not intend to strike Iran, but demanded that the killing would stop, according to Pakistani outlet Dawn. Very interesting. So here's what I take from Donald Trump. This is for all the critiques that go against him. Part of this is Trump flexing, and the other part is very serious. So do I think it was this last minute decision to stop the strike? Yeah, I tend to think it is. But he's also keeping people guessing. He's listening to General Kane. So he's keeping people guessing, but at the same time, listening to people like General Kane and Pete Hegseth. He's listening to his advisors, and his advisors, they're military people. They know that there is a most dangerous course of action. There's a most deadly course of action, a most dangerous and a most likely course of action. You have to plan accordingly for both of those. And he's saying, all right, we've weighed these, all of the options on the table, and I'm not going to let him know, but I might lead this way. Maybe it's we prep for the strike. We don't know what intel was going on behind the scenes. But this is part of it. It's like a football player, right? So a football player that can sell the blitz, like a defensive player that can sell the blitz. It looks like the blitz. It looks like the blitz, and they drop into coverage. They get the interception, that sort of thing. So, the way his advisors think, they are thinking as they're supposed to. They're thinking as true military advisors. And look, they're taking that into consideration as the primary goal, and then secondary to that is the political fallout. Now, the big piece of this is, so there's kind of framing where we are with Iran. There's riots. There's all this wildness going on. But there was after the Venezuelan attack, or not attack, but it was the capturing of Maduro. This was a transcript. Now, has it been confirmed? I don't know. I haven't seen anything to give me solid evidence that, yes, it was confirmed. but it certainly made its way around the internet. And I'm going to read this to you. Fascinating stuff. But this account from a Venezuelan security guard loyal to Nicolas Maduro, it says absolutely. So the security guard, let me just get into the interview here. Security guard, on the day of the operation, we didn't hear anything coming. We were on guard, but suddenly all our radar systems shut down without any explanation. The next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones flying over our positions. We didn't know how to react. And then here's the interviewer. So what happened next? How was the main attack? The security guard. After those drones appeared, some helicopters arrived, but they were very few. I think barely 8 helicopters. From those helicopters, soldiers came down, but a very small number, maybe 20 men. But those men were technologically very advanced. They didn't look like anything we've fought against before. Interviewer. And then the battle began? Yes, but it was a massacre. We were hundreds, but we had no chance. They were shooting with such precision and speed. This, by the way, sounds credible because it sounds like, SOF. If you're talking about, ODA or SEAL team guys, whatever, this sounds like how they would operate. It seemed like each soldier was firing 300 rounds per minute. We couldn't do anything. Interviewer, are your own weapons, didn't they help? Security guard, no help at all, because it wasn't just the weapons. At one point, they launched something. I don't know how to describe it. It was like a very intense sound wave. Suddenly, I felt like my head was exploding from the inside. We all started bleeding from the nose. Some were vomiting blood. We fell to the ground, unable to move. And then here's the interviewer. And your comrades, did they manage to resist? Security guard, no, not at all. Those 20 men without a single casualty killed hundreds of us. We had no way to compete with their technology, with their weapons. I swear I've never seen anything like this. We couldn't even stand up after that sonic weapon or whatever it was. So then this last part is very interesting. So at the end it says security guard, without a doubt, I'm sending a warning to anyone who thinks they can fight the United States. They have no idea what they're capable of. After what I saw, I never want to be on the other side of that again. They're not to be messed with. And then they said, and now that Trump has said Mexico is on the list, do you think the situation will change in Latin America? And he said, definitely, everyone is already talking about this. No one wants to go through what we went through. Now everyone thinks twice. What happened here is going to change a lot of things, not just in Venezuela, but throughout the region. It's a lot of reading. There isn't an audio file of this. I suppose I could have had it transcribed by AI, but I didn't. And here's the interesting thing. This sounds like too perfect of a story to me. I will say that right off the bat. However, we've talked about on this channel, and we've talked about, I've talked about it over the years, actually, that we know we have advanced technology that is not available to the public. We don't exactly know. In fact, a lot of conspiracy theorists build their entire channels on technology, what may or may not exist. Some go back to the ancient. We're going to talk about what Candace Owens had to say today, which was interesting. But nonetheless, this is, here's the report. This is from the New York Post. This isn't new technology. This isn't a new revelation to any of us. It's wild, but let me read some of this here. It says, the U.S. used a powerful mystery weapon that brought Venezuelan soldiers to their knees, quote, bleeding through their nose and vomiting blood during a daring raid to capture dictator Nicolas Maduro. According to the witness account, posted Saturday to X by the White House press secretary. In a jaw-dropping interview, the guard described how American forces, blah, 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 blah. There was another piece of this. We were hundreds. We had no chance. Oh, I thought I had a separate clip in this one. Okay, I'm going to skip over this one and say this isn't new because if you guys don't remember this, the Havana syndrome, this is something that was talked about back in 2021. And this is a report also from the New York Post talking about Havana syndrome, 130 U.S. personnel injured in direct energy attack. At least 130 U.S. personnel, including spies, diplomats, and soldiers, have suffered brain damage and other significant injuries as a result of suspected, quote, direct energy attacks, according to a report. The number reported by the New York Times on Wednesday is more than double the 60 confirmed cases previously known and does not include the total number of injured. So this was believed to have been the Chinese, the Russians. I don't think we ever got a resolution on that, and I don't imagine that we would, but this was 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, we saw the effects of direct energy weapons targeted at us. Donald Trump has turned around and used some version of that in a major military operation to seize a dictator and did so with extreme proficiency. Now, if this is true, it was posted again by the White House press secretary. Is it just sheer propaganda? I don't know. I tend to believe that, but it's written so perfectly. I'm always hesitant to hear that. The wording and all of that was just enough. It was like it was a spy novel sort of thing. So maybe it is legitimate, but people are talking about it. And this is the point I want to make about this is Donald Trump is showing, if let's assume that it's true, let's assume that it's accurate. Donald Trump is pulling out all the stops. He's saying, what have we got stuck back here in the closet? What have we got stuck at Area 51? What have we got stuck in one of our military, in the holds of our military contractors? What can they bring to bear in some major conflict? I want to see the secrets, right? And I can speak about this from a very limited perspective. Hey, what's going on, Niles? Welcome back, man. No, you're good. For some reason, the live stream numbers are very low tonight. Not exactly sure what's going on, but maybe people aren't getting notifications. That's been a problem here recently. Yeah, we had a whole slew of folks on last night. So as you come on, as everybody comes on, feel free to get into the chat. But we've got technology that the average Americans just aren't aware of, and when it's used in major conflict, this was my thought about using it in Iran. If this becomes a major conflict, which I hope it does not, I hope that it's something that can be isolated, similar to the bombing of the nuclear facilities, similar to the quick raid that took place to capture Maduro. I'm hoping this doesn't become some greater conflict. But if it does, then using that sort of stuff is probably not going to make an appearance, because you don't divulge that stuff. Right now, it's a transcript of a conversation that may or may not be true. Once that happens and there's media and embedded media and all these people involved, then it becomes real. Had these weapons, so I don't know exactly like they're new. No, it's not. I can play you the clip. Here, I'll play the clip. I don't think we're talking about the same thing. So I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the ACIDS or ADS? I think is what it's called. Here's a clip. It's the active denial system.
Like something this reporter got hit with at Quantico in this piece from 2013.
The military says the active denial system is not radioactive, it's not a microwave, and it's not a laser beam. It's instead a man-sized beam of millimeter waves that can be fired from up to 1,000 meters away that are designed to get the subject, whoever's standing on this X, really, really hot so that they move. And it's about 50 degrees out here right now, but I just felt like it was about 1,000. And I've never been inside a tub that somebody dropped a hairdryer in, but I would imagine that that's what it feels like.
So that sort of stuff, like the area denial and active denial systems, this doesn't sound like that, Niles. That's my take. It sounds like something different. And I'm speculating here, and I'm speculating that if it is something different, and if it is some other weapon that hasn't been used, it's the bleeding from the mouth and the vomiting of blood, or the bleeding from the nose and the vomiting of blood. That's weird. That's something that we haven't. I have never seen that. I know some of the technologies that we have, but that's the weird part. So there you go. I know. I'll put your comment up for that one. No, it was different. It was on top of a Hummer, a big sound wave thing overseas. It was a different version of the ADS, I think. I'm almost certain that it was. Our unit never had them on top of the Humvees, but we didn't. I mean, we didn't have everything. I don't know. Look different, and yeah, bleeding and vomiting is messed up, bro. This is a max level, yeah. So I'm pretty sure, Niles, that what you saw and what I know that I've seen as well was the ADS. It was that active denial or area denial system. But I don't know. This one, it seemed to be, it's done in conjunction with a coordinated attack, and it had massive impacts on what it was doing. The ADS is more targeted. So I don't know. It's interesting. Nonetheless, this is the type of thing, if it is an ADS system, this is the type of thing that needs to be used on these ICE protests, because that's going to be the next thing we're going to talk about is the Insurrection Act. Is it time? Maybe right. It was more for like crowd control. Yeah. I think that's what it was. So we're thinking of the same thing, and I'm just thinking that it's something different, that it's a step above that. So anyway, Donald Trump, in doing this and in releasing this transcript, part of it is a psyop, even if it's true, because people don't know what this is. Do the Chinese? They have some version of it, because this is where the Havana syndrome came from. Was it the Russians? Do the Russians have some version of this? Yeah, maybe, but I'm willing to bet Iran doesn't. South America doesn't. They just hear the horror stories, and now we're building up a story that is striking a bit of fear. It's a psychological operation, striking a bit of fear into our enemies. All that while, as I was saying before, Trump he's launching fuel tankers. So the KC-1, you could help me remember. I suppose I could look it up. The KC-135s or the 130s. So the air refueling tankers were up, and then everybody's on pins and needles. Then he pulls them back. Then he says that he's coordinating with Qatar and other people that they talked him out of it. It's wild. So that's on the international front. Bottom line is, I don't know what's going to happen, and nobody does. I think anybody that says that they do wholeheartedly is, I think they're lying, or they're just saying that to say it. But we're in tense times. We're in very tense times, both globally and here at home. So here at home, this was a recent video from these ICE raids. This is a problem. So you guys tell me in the comments, do you think that we are in the territory of the Insurrection Act? And for those that don't know, the Insurrection Act, this has been used several times, but it was originally passed in 1807. And it allows the president to deploy federal troops or the National Guard inside of the United States to restore order under specific circumstances. So there's a lot of legal precedent and things like that. It's been used before several times. It's been used, of course, during the Civil War, during Reconstruction, 1857 in Little Rock, Arkansas, 1960s during the Civil Rights Act in 1992 for the Los Angeles riots. It's been a while since it's been used, but we're getting close to that territory. But before I play this video, I want to say that I have to bring up an analogy. Let me bring up an analogy here that I think you guys will appreciate. That being president or in any position like this, any senior military position, I guess, for people like Pete Hegseth and all that, it's like juggling. I had a commander, and he used to tell us, he said, Jared, I said, yes, sir. And he said, when you get in leader and higher leadership positions, the more people you've got, it's just like, because I was a first lieutenant at the time. He said, you're going to be juggling a lot of balls. Think of them as paper mache balls. You're going to drop some of them, but the idea is to not drop them so they break, but it's control their descent so they don't break when they hit the ground. And I feel like, and that analogy has stuck with me. The busier you get and the more you've got going on, yeah, you're juggling a lot of balls. You're juggling those paper mache balls, and some of them are going to drop. But Donald Trump is doing that and we're talking about world leaders. We're talking about economies. We're talking about big ticket items. So I'm hoping he's not getting over his skis on, the Greenland thing, which we're going to talk about a little bit about, with Cuba and Venezuela, Colombia. He's really focused on our hemisphere, but then you throw Iran into the mix and it kind of gets dicey. But this is a video recently shot. Yeah, I was, Niles. I was. Don't hate me for that. Niles asked if I was an officer, and I said, yes, I was. Oh, man, I was. Don't hold it against me. So here we go. Check out this video. This is an ICE vehicle.
Almost there.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
There's some bullets.
Hey, that's a 47.
I don't know.
At this point, it's out of hand. They're looting ICE vehicles. They're taking weapons. Not only that, they were taking documents. So there were immigration documents and things they were using for searches and seizures and all of that. This is out of hand. This has gotten to the point. It's a matter of heading it off before exactly the reason why the internet needs to be put up. Yeah. Well, I don't know about, I don't agree with suspending of habeas corpus, but I do think that Niles says this video you're showing is exactly the reason why the Insurrection Act needs to be put up. Habeas corpus needs to be suspended in the Twin Cities. I disagree with the habeas corpus piece, but I do agree that Insurrection Act, this is the time. This is the time for this to take place. This is the exact reason that you have that at your disposal. When things get this out of control, and what's crazy is a lot of these people are purporting, oh, we're doing this for America, and it's for freedom, and it's for da-da-da-da-da-da. No, you are literally going after federal law enforcement who are enforcing the laws of this country. You are protecting the American people, and you are doing it for people who are not American citizens, who are here and who are breaking laws. Now, you get the people that are the real radicals and the sycophants, but you're also just going to get the tag-alongs, the people that don't have anything better to do. And that's another question I have. Some of this is done at night, so obviously nobody's working, but I question what some of these people are doing during the day. Like, what's your day job, right? What do you do for a living that you can be out here messing with this all day long? And this is another view of the looting. This is what they did to the vehicle. Here you go. This is a better shot of the entirety, and I'm not going to play it because of language. You guys know that I try to keep it PG-13 on here, but this is what the ICE vehicle looked like. Let me see if I can fast forward to the better shot. ... Yeah, here you go. Ripping everything out of it. It is. No, you're right, Niles. It's disgusting to watch. No respect for law and order, no respect for the law. Like, no normal person feels comfortable doing this. I think we can be honest about that. I think we can all agree on that. And Caroline Levitt, God love her. She's she's fantastic. She had some things to say about this, not just about the looting, but also about the journalists who are covering it, because that's part of the problem in this country. They were doing cheetah flips when Donald Trump said the media is the enemy of America. Well, they certainly aren't on our side. Whether they're the enemy, that's something to be discussed. But here you go, listen to this.
Thanks, Caroline. Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally, and earlier on, Secretary Noem spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
I have another good one that I have to play. I mean, facts, to use a slang term, spitting facts, and here's Carolyn Levitt spitting facts.
Can you speak to the rhetoric we're hearing from Democrat politicians, whether they are causing violence against ICE, as well as some of the headlines we have seen not including the full story?
Yeah, I mean, to your first point, I think I've addressed that these Democrat governors and mayors in not just Minnesota, but in states across the country are essentially, they've referred to ICE agents who, again, are brave men and women, and I would encourage everyone everyone in this room, and I would encourage Governor Walz and other Democrats who are demeaning law enforcement to sit down and have a cup of coffee with an ICE agent or a Border Patrol agent. These are great, patriotic men and women who have families, who put on the uniform every day and are following our nation's immigration laws at the direction of their bosses and again, at the direction of the law. They are simply trying to enforce the law. And the Democrat Party has demeaned these individuals. They've even referred to them as Nazis and as the Gestapo. And that is absolutely leading to the violence we're seeing in the streets. If you look at some of the images out of Minneapolis last night, look at this vehicle. Look at what it says. It says F ICE. You have these individuals who are putting their middle finger, proudly so, at the camera. Another ICE individual, a vehicle that was vandalized last night by these left-wing agitators. People don't do this without encouragement from people in power who make them feel like it's okay. Here's another one. And I'm pretty sure this car, you can't see it, said the best agent is a dead agent or something to that effect. This is despicable rhetoric that we're seeing, and the media is absolutely complicit in this violence, because if you look at the headline from CNN, protests erupt after federal agent shoots man in Minneapolis, that is not the story, that is not the truth. If you actually want to know the truth, you can look at what the Department of Homeland Security released, which is that this ICE agent was executing a targeted operation against a Venezuelan illegal alien who was unlawfully present in the country, who fled by car and then fled by foot. And when this ICE agent tried to detain the individual, 3 more of his comrades came rushing out of a house and started ambushing and attacking the ICE agent. They used a shovel or a broom to smash his face in. And so, yes, that agent had to use self-defense and take up his weapon to protect his own life. That is what's happening on the streets of Minneapolis. That's what's happening on the streets, unfortunately, of these Democrat-run cities and states where you have elected officials who are encouraging such violence against our brave men and women in law enforcement.
Golly. She is I think a lot of people would agree that she is one of the best press secretaries I've ever seen in my life. I mean, she's amazingly good at this. She's incredibly good. She's young. She's got a bright future ahead of her, obviously. But this is it, the media spin. And so many people, I come across so many people who buy into it. So many people listen to it. They said, well, I heard on CNN. CNN said they still see it as the most trusted name in news. And how that can be the case, I do not know. Unless maybe it's habit for a lot of these people. I think boomers are kind of still in that. I've heard that people say the viewership of people like CNN and Fox News and all that still remains predominantly boomers, and they just see it as fact. What they get is fact. And if you listen to those people, yeah, they're the Gestapo. They're this. That they completely rewrite the story. They are not interested in honest journalism, and they're there to deceive people, to push a political narrative. It is Pravda if you're listening to CNN. It is state-run media. Well, it's Democrat Party-run media. Now, the father-in-law, people were fuming at the father-in-law of Rebecca Good. This is the father-in-law. He was on CNN, and interesting words. I don't think that they expected this to be his response.
No, nothing about charges or anything like that. Just an investigation into what happened in terms of the ICE agents' actions. But they were, according to the prosecutors resigning today, pressuring them to investigate Renee's actions and Becca, her wife's actions. How do you feel about all that?
Well, I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, it's a hard situation all the way around. It's hard for for everybody involved. I mean, the ICE agent, at first I didn't see the footage where, he was actually, he was actually being ran. I mean, I seen the bump of the car hitting his legs. And so in a flash like that, it's hard to say how you would react. From my understanding that he had been through that before, maybe dragged or something. And so, like I said, it's just a hard situation for everybody. Becca, she's a great person as well. I mean, I don't have any many enemies. I love everybody. And that's what the Bible tells us, love our neighbors as we love ourselves. But, I think there's some bad choices. And the word says, for the wrath of God will come up on the children of disobedience. And, I don't blame ICE. I don't blame Rebecca. I don't blame Renee. I just wish that, if we're walking the Spirit of God, I don't think she would have been there.
I don't think that was what they were expecting. Good job to this gentleman. It was the father of Renee Nicole Good's late husband. So Timmy Macklin in Knoxville, Tennessee. I just now saw that. I didn't even notice that before. I didn't notice where he was. Thought his accent sounded a little familiar. I'm not in Knoxville, but I am in Tennessee. But yeah, he's saying, look, I'm not blaming one person or the other, but yeah, if your motives are pure, if you are living the right, like that doesn't happen. You're not going to find yourself in those circumstances. Are there legitimate times to protest? 100%. Absolutely there are. Is protesting federal law enforcement doing their fulfilling their obligations that the Constitution gives them the right to do? Is that something worth protesting, worth putting yourself in danger, worth trying to run over police officers? No, nothing is worth trying to run over police officers who are doing their jobs, or ICE officers, federal officers, whatever. But when you listen to a media like CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NPR, whoever, yeah, you're going to think that's your responsibility. When all they are trying to do is stop the criminals who are out here hurting our fellow citizens, and the ones who are fleecing the American taxpayers. And this is secondary. Obviously, this is secondary to these violent criminals who put our fellow citizens in danger. That's what Donald Trump is prioritizing, and much to the chagrin of even people on the right, he's focusing on the criminals. He's gathering other people along the way, but these are very deliberate, targeted raids on people, arrests, and this is secondary. So we're also getting, when you find one illegal, you're going to find others. Birds of a feather flock together. But we're also, this is what we're trying to break up in Minnesota. We've seen the $9 billion in fraud. And, I got to get to your comment here, Niles. Yeah, people are buying into it because they're just so caught up. They have life so easy. You know how the world works. These people, when you get handouts all day, this is what happens. Yeah, bingo, Niles, right on the money. I know your spelling. That's why I didn't put it up. I know what you were getting at. Here's a report from the Post Millennial, and a Somali courier took $700 million in cash from Minnesota out of the U.S. Federal investigators have uncovered what appears to be a sophisticated cash courier network that moved hundreds of millions of dollars out of Minnesota and the United States using suitcases rather than traditional banking systems. As much as $700 million in cash was transported out of Minnesota via commercial flights, often routed through Europe and the Middle East. The operation relied on couriers rather than financial institutions, keeping the transactions largely off banking records. Speaking to Steve Bannon, editor-in-chief for Just the News, John Solomon talked about his exclusive scoop, saying the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, confirmed that $136 million in cash was tracked traveling from Columbus, Ohio to Minneapolis. Columbus has the second largest Somali population in the United States, behind Minneapolis. And by the way, this is where a lot of people are, right after the Nick Shirley, after Nick Shirley's reporting up in Minneapolis, there was a lady who popped on, and I think Patrick Bet-David played it on his show when he had Nick Shirley on, that was saying, please come to Ohio. It's just as bad, if not worse, here. We also know that this is going on in other states across the country. So, yeah, it's a coordinated effort to, A, fleece the American people, B, keep us living in fear, and C, try to cause chaos and confusion. Well, so that's the thing. Well, yeah, to create chaos and confusion. Niles, I see in the comments, dude, I thought it was illegal to bring cash money like that through the airports. How they are smuggling it through, I do not know. It is illegal to carry. I think it's over $10,000. Once you get over $10,000, I could be wrong in that. Let me see if I can't remember if this article referenced that one. I don't think that it did. But I believe the cash limit is $10,000. So, yeah, it doesn't say in here. But anyway, that's the case. So here we have money laundering, smuggling of fraud You know, the daycare situation that we have up there, violent criminals, that's what ICE is trying to fix. And why these loonies on the left think that that is something worth protesting, I don't know. I don't know. But I tell you what is worth protesting, that they will never protest. Something very interesting. Analysis shows that 1/3 of Gen Z, so here we're talking about conflict, we're talking about war, we're talking about all the potential for future conflict. We have to ask ourselves, who is going to fight those wars? Who's going to build our nation? Who's going to carry us through whatever chaos might come in the future? Well, Gen Z, who was born 1997 to 2011, 1/3 of them have, as they put it, passed away, but are not alive, have been unalived or deleted. And how? And this stat blew my mind. Confirmed through ChatGPT. So there was an analysis that said, and it claims roughly 26 million abortions of Gen Z era pregnancies in the United States, compared with a Gen Z population of about 69 million people, which is about 28%. So it's close to 1/3. There was an interview that people, let me see if I can find it. I thought I grabbed that one. Yeah, it was a video. This is where I saw it. I thought I saw this man on the street interview, and posted by Tara Bull. Like, listen to this. This is wild.
That 1/3 of Gen Z has already passed away.
Wow.
Oh. Could you guess what that cause is?
Gun violence? Yeah, I'd have to say gun violence. Vehicular accidents.
Probably something to do with like social media, like mental health. Maybe suicide?
Mental health issues.
Yeah, that's what came to mind first.
Do you mean like suicide? Or?
Yeah.
Suicide. Suicide?
I know there's a lot of mental health struggles, so maybe suicide.
Cancer? I'm gonna go with cancer. Maybe obesity, diabetes, or diseases in a sense, yeah. Poor healthcare, starvation.
What generation are you guys?
I think we're Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Gen Z, yeah.
What year were you born?
1999.
I think you made the cutoff for Gen Zs.
Yeah.
Right. What if I told you that 1/3 of your generation, Gen Z, has actually already passed away?
I would believe that, actually.
What do you think it would be from?
Drug use? Drug use?
Like weed or something.
Drugs, alcohol.
Fentanyl.
Drugs. Probably drug overdoses.
What if I told you that 1 in 3 members of Gen Z has been aborted?
Oh. That's, wow. I did not know that was like the leading cause.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I didn't even think about that.
That's not super surprising, though.
Would you be surprised if I told you that 1 in 3 members of Gen Z has actually been aborted? Does that surprise you at all?
Yes.
Yes?
Not really that surprising, because many young girls who get pregnant by accident abort their unborn babies, so it's not really that surprising to me.
Whether it's right or wrong, they're gonna make their choice and they'll live with it.
Or not live with it, I guess, if you're killed, but I'd be surprised if I told you it was through abortion.
Through abortion? Wow. You said 1 out of every 3?
Yeah.
Seems high.
No, I did
really.
not.
I didn't think of that.
I did not think of that either. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought at all.
I think it'd be more like 2 out of 3, or?
I honestly feel like yes.
I thought it would be lower.
Really?
The heck?
Lower. Definitely.
So the point of this, aside from it being an alarming statistic, this is done by Live Action, which is I think Lila Rose is the head of Live Action, but it's shocking because when you listen to the first part of the video, what captured me was they're talking about, oh, it's suicide, oh, it's drug use. It's because these are things that they are exposed to, that Gen Z is exposed to on a regular basis. They're exposed to their friends. A lot of them have friends who have overdosed on drugs. 100,000 people a year are overdosing on fentanyl. A lot of them unbeknownst to them. Suicide is a problem. We've got a mental health crisis. We've got, substance abuse. Anything and everything you could think of. And this is what they're like, oh, it's social media and drugs and suicide and all this. That's their first go-to, because they're like, yeah, because I know people that's happened to. You know that's imprinted on their brain. But the thing that they kind of pushed, a lot of them pushed to the side. They're like, I don't worry about that. I'm not going to be a staunch pro-life person. That's not a popular position to take. But meanwhile, 26 million abortions have taken place from Gen Z. 26 million. Niles left down in the comments, OMG, that's nuts. I had no idea on this. And yeah, I was shocked too. When I saw it, I thought we're literally destroying an entire generation of Americans. And we have people, the same people who are out here running over police officers to save illegal immigrants and criminals are the ones who would also go out and whoop and holler for the death of 26 million babies. What in the world is the world that we're living in? And that's how I say that, that the people on the left, their priorities are wildly screwed up. Wildly screwed up. And, a lot of people over on the, in the Christian world, there's a lot of people who make the claim, Charlie Kirk did the same, that under the current policies, it's not possible to be a Christian and be on the left because so many of the things that they support, i.e. the abortion of 26 million children in the Gen Z generation, is entirely antithetical to the belief systems, to their worldview. Like, how in the world can you be a Christian and say, yeah, I'm okay with 26 million abortions? And you can't. That's just a fact. Does that disturb anybody else? Please leave it down in the comments. I know Niles is burning up the comments tonight. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I don't know where our regular crowd is tonight or what's going on. There must be, I don't know, something going on. But I appreciate you being here, my brother. I do. Anybody else that's on here, and if you are new and you're enjoying the content, please do something to help the channel. Hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell because it really helps us in the algorithm. It's fantastic. We do these live streams several times a week, and you don't want to miss any of the future ones. So anyway, I kind of did this one out of order. I should have brought up, after I was talking about the direct energy weapon, I meant to bring up the Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk thing. I had my notes all tracked out of order. So off that somber note, I'm going to turn into something a little more, I guess a little less serious. This one's going to be, you guys know, I do a lot of shows about Candace Owens, and I just didn't want, I'll be honest, I didn't want a headline with her tonight, because we spend so much time debunking the silly things that she says, the wild theories that she flings out there. But I have to throw out this one, and you guys get a peek at what was almost the thumbnail for tonight. Here you go. It was going to be Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, the time traveler. This is her new thing. The conspiracies, they abound. The conspiracies abound. And now she is saying that Charlie Kirk was a time traveler. Let me play this. Here, I'll play this one. So this is all about Project Looking Glass. Oh, boy. Here we go.
Is Project Looking Glass. Essentially, there were these whistleblowers, like I told you, in the military and within the CIA apparatus that came forward to reveal that the deep state had a technology, which they stole, of course. Please do not miss the part that I keep explaining to you. These people are not smarter than you. They're just more evil. They steal, they plunder, and they steal things, and then they rewrite history and pretend that they were geniuses. Anyways, they have a knack for murder, they have a knack for theft, and this time, just like a lot of times before, they stole a device from the ancient Sumerian civilization that's located in modern-day Iraq. Very advanced civilization. They're obsessed also with Egyptian civilization, as we discussed yesterday. The Satanists kind of taking and reintroducing these things. First, they keep them to themselves. They hoard these things, and then they kind of give us certain aspects of technology as time goes on. So they steal this piece of technology, and they incorporate it into a computer, and suddenly they're apparently able to predict future outcomes. Just imagine the deep state being able to look into a glass, so to speak. The Sumerian culture was known for their advancement in glass, and to see different outcomes. I mean, the amount of power that you would have, and then also fathom in your mind that the people that are Satanists have this power. Take a listen.
So this is the problem. This is what she's done. This is her format, right? Her format is make outlandish claims, say wild and crazy things, and you have to one up it every single time. And she cranked it up to 11 early on, and now she just has to get crazier and crazier. So now we're dealing. This is what it was when she talked about Charlie being a time traveler. And I don't think I played that, or I didn't play that clip. Let me play that one because I think that, here we go. Let me play that one before I go on a rant here.
Why did Charlie think he was a time traveler? He said, as I showed you in earlier messages, that he was a time traveler and he had to find me. Is that just something people are saying to their homies in text messages? And again, not anything that I would have placed so much emphasis on back when he was saying it, but it came to fruition. The other parts, he did die young. Why did he think that him dying young was necessary in order to change things? He did die young. It is related to Turning Point USA. In some way or another, at the very least, we can all agree it's related to him speaking at a campus event for Turning Point USA. I'm totally occupied by this. I tell you, I read these messages and I'm going, what is this? What is reality, actually? And Charlie died. Yes, like I said, it was related to this organization. And I think we would all agree that his death and the manner that they did it changed the world in ways that I don't think we can fully realize, or certainly not in a way that I can articulate.
So I kind of talked about this yesterday. Wasn't yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. I was talking about that. The next level for her, the next step for her, is to become prophetic. This is about she's going to be a prophet. So she has moved from the lowest level and the people that were in Charlie's sphere to the people that were to the organizations, to the national level, to the super secret squirrel level, to now the beyond, to now the spiritual realm, to now ancient technologies. Where in the world is this going to go? I don't know, but it's guaranteed to bank her a few million more bucks before she concludes this silly story, or before the whole thing just collapses in on itself, which I think is the more likely outcome. Something like this has to collapse in on itself because she can't take it much further. People are already seeing her as an absolute loon. People are getting burnt out on it. Her viewership is going down, thank goodness. And she's on her show recommending people like this. That if you want to know, one of the components that is driving her mad is this guy, Lionel Nation. This is the type of stuff that he posts on his social media account, and this is who she's recommending her viewers go watch. So much like the left, Candace, which I believe she is a leftist. I believe Tucker is center left at best, middle on the middle side of left, not entirely far left, more likely. But the content they're consuming, it's shaping their minds just like it shapes ours. And when she's saying, hey guys, if you're watching this show, this is also what you need to be watching. Yeah, wow, there's a valid point right there. Yeah. I don't understand why her husband doesn't do something. I have the same question. But it's going to be interesting that now I'll be interested to see her response to this. So this came out today. This is from the family of the furry companion of Tyler Robinson. So Tyler, a family member of Tyler Robinson's trans lover Lance Twiggs, said authorities 100% have the right suspect in Charlie Kirk's assassination. Now, is that ironclad? No, but now we have the parents, we have the sheriff, we've got the pastor, we've got the parents of the furry, trans lover, all of this stuff. And we've got a court case that's going to be going on where evidence is going to be released to the public, where we're all going to see it. And yeah, all this is going to come to fruition. At that point, Candace's narrative has to come crashing down unless she has a big enough audience. Maybe she'll just ride it out with whatever audience is left. That's ride or die. Candace Owens is always right. Can't be any wrong. The Stu Peters of the world, they'll drop down. They'll live in irrelevance forever and ever, saying that this was never solved, that it was never whatever. And, the irregularities, which I agree there are some, they're not with, if was at least no evidence to the fact that it was Israel or the French Foreign Legion or the bee people or the Sumerians or ancient Sumerian technology or whatever it is that she decides to spew out at any given moment. This is going to be with the Reddit threads and the social media posts and all the people predicting and saying, we knew that this was going to happen. It was going to happen. Oh, hey, get ready for this. It's going to happen tomorrow. That's where the story is going to, that's where the conspiracy lies, in my opinion. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments. All right. The last thing, boy, so many headlines. It's hard to segue from one to the other, but I'm doing it. We're making it happen. I'm getting through as many topics as I can tonight. Although, golly, I'm already all up on the hour. So, if anybody is in here and you haven't done so and you enjoy the content, please feel free to hit the subscribe button, like button, and notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video is released. And let's see, we could talk about that one. No, let's go to Greenland. We'll end on Greenland. I've been fascinated by this. Donald Trump saying, we're going to get it one way or another. And naturally we had pushback, or he had pushback when it came to the taking over of Greenland. And I think I commented enough today, brother. I'm just listening. Yeah, you're good, man. You've commented plenty. Thank you, Niles. You're awesome. I'm going to have words with all our regular viewers and be like, guys, where were you tonight? I'm willing to bet that this is a YouTube thing. I noticed that it was here recently. Numbers started declining a fair amount. My viewership after I post is stopping again. I think it's because we're getting towards midterm season. I don't know. We'll see. Or maybe I'm doing something wrong with the algorithm. Who knows? But Germany joins Canada, Sweden, and other nations in sending troops to Greenland as Trump threats intensify. So Trump is saying, "Yep, we're going for it." This is from Mediaite. Germany has joined other NATO allies like Sweden, Canada, and the Netherlands to send troops to Greenland as President Donald Trump intensifies his threats to take over the country. Troops will be deployed to the Northern Territory this week, according to the report. What in the world, what disciplinary action was taken against you that you have to go to the northern regions of Greenland to stake claim to a frozen tundra? My goodness. And initially, the foreign minister he had words. He said, "No, this is not going to happen. Absolutely not going to happen." Well, something has happened in the interim, because now he's starting to change his tone a little bit. Here, listen to this. It's completely different than his initial response.
And we therefore still have a fundamental disagreement, but we also agree to disagree. And therefore we will, however, continue to talk. We have decided to form a high-level working group to explore if we can find a common way forward. The group, in our view, should focus on how to address the American security concerns, while at the same time respecting the red lines of the Kingdom of Denmark. We expect that such a group will meet for a first time within a matter of weeks. And then I will pass the floor to my colleague from Greenland.
So this is the art of the deal. This is what it is. This is Donald Trump behind closed doors. He says, I don't care how you whitewash it. I don't care how you present it to the media. You're going to change your mind on this. You don't have a whole lot to say. What are you going to do? Come over here and whoop America? No. We're holding all the cards. This is our hemisphere. You're in our hemisphere. Make your way out kindly. Walk it through the media. Do your thing. Do the dog and pony show. But at the end of the day, America is going to get Greenland. Greenland's going to be great again, and we're going to be able to secure our hemisphere. That's what I think. That's my speculation, that's what's going on behind the scenes, and I think it's pretty glorious. I'll be honest, I really do. I think it's glorious. It's 60,000 people. First off, so it's not a lot of people. That Denmark is, okay, it's Denmark. That's fine. But yeah, I'm not opposed to this. I'm not opposed to the way that Trump has been handling this situation, and the fact that the foreign minister and Denmark in general is starting to change their tune is, I think it's signs of the conversations going on behind the scenes. But it makes a difference too, because if you look geographically where Greenland is, in fact, I could show you. let's see. Let me pull up maps here because a lot of people haven't looked at it. It is very, very strategic for the U.S. Let me pull it up here. Greenland. Here we go. The size is, by the way, I mean, a lot of people don't know this. The size is not actually correct. The size, the Mercator projection is what distorts the size because of the curvature of the Earth. So Greenland isn't as big as it looks on the map. But here's Greenland over here. And what do we have just off to the east of Greenland? Over here, we've got the UK, we've got Ireland, and we've got Scotland. And do you know what sits in Scotland? All of the nuclear arsenal that makes them one of the most powerful, well, one of the top 10, I believe UK is in the top 10 for nuclear arsenal. Scotland is where that is held. So it's strategic because, I mean, obviously it could be mutually protective of the UK, of Scott and their arsenal, but we're also talking about protecting an area that is easily trafficable by Russia over towards the United States. I mean, it makes perfect sense. Here we are, people. This is our area. I don't know what the scuttlebutt is about. And on this chunk of land, which, as I say, is not actually as big as it's shown here, there's 60,000 people. That's exactly right. It's our northern flank. Bingo, bango. Okay, well, guys, that is all I've got for tonight. I've gone through all the comments. Niles has been going after it tonight. I appreciate you. If you're watching this after the fact, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, like button, and the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video is released. Hopefully tomorrow's live stream has a little bit better crowd. I don't know what in the world's going on tonight, but it's something. You guys are great. You're awesome. Even if you're picking this up after the fact, God bless you. God bless America. Again, Niles, I'm going to give you another shout out. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you so much for firing up the chat. You're awesome. Got a great group of people that follow this channel. I will see you all in the next one. I'll see you tomorrow evening. Have a great, what is this? Have a great Thursday night. God bless.